Step 4, resistors and how to check them.
I'll repeat that. President Roosevelt says that the Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor in Hawaii from the air. This bulletin came to you from the NBC newsroom in New York, which for 2 years has been at war with Adolf Hitler.
Good day and welcome back to Mike's Radio Repair and Restoration. Today we're heading into step 4 of my restoration plan. This is a multi-step system that I have put together to help new folks learn how to restore a radio. And today we're on step 4, which is dealing with the resistors. So today we're going to cover how we're going to test them. And we're going to talk about color codes and tolerances and whatnot. And before we get right into that, here's an important safety announcement. A quick word about safety. There are dangers all the way up to lethal voltages inside these sets. Please take all the necessary steps to protect your safety, and if you're following along at home, you do so at your own risk. Okay, if you're new to this, you're going to want to get yourself a resistor color code, which tells you how to decipher the cryptic band colors that are on these resistors. Well, maybe I'll just throw up an example of that, but you're definitely going to need one of these. I'm not going to teach this. This is something that you learn over time of dealing with it, how to read a resistor. So I think that we need to really look at tolerances. Some are 1, 10, or 20%. Let's say we talk about a 10% resistor that has a 10% tolerance. That means if it's a 10K resistor, if it measures 9K, it could be okay, or if it measures 11K, it could be okay. It has a 10% tolerance. Now that's extreme for me. I would never let it get that far. If it gets like 7 or 8%, I start to change them. And when I do replace them, if they're a half watt, I'll replace it with a full watt. And I won't put a 10% tolerance back in. I will put a 1% in. And that was left to me by an old friend of mine who's passed away. He was a engineer for the Hammond Transformer Company. He says, if I designed a circuit with a 10K resistor, I didn't mean 9K and I didn't mean 11K. I meant 10K. That's where my circuit works the best. So, I mean, I understand him, and I've seen that make some of my restorations shine when I go in and I put in a proper value resistor that's 1% tolerance, or very close to what the engineers wanted. The performance is always a little better. For instance, if you have a 220 ohm cathode resistor that has fallen, well, not fallen, maybe risen to 240 ohms, that's a loss of performance. So by bringing it back to 220 ohms right on the button, you gain a little bit of that forward bias gain for that tube, and you pick up performance some. Same with cathode resistors when they drift high, which is what they often do. It's always a loss of performance, and each of them are splitting hairs a little bit when you replace them. But when you do a bunch in a radio, there's an effect of the whole, so to speak, on performance. And I've always found it better that replacing things with 1% ends up in a better product at the end. So let's go and look at a schematic and talk about how we test resistors. I get asked this question a lot. I've answered it before and I'm going to answer it again, but we need to look at a schematic in order to do that. So just 1 second and I'll get set up for that. All right, we're looking at the schematic for our Hallicrafter 110 restoration job currently underway. Let's focus on V2. Just as an example, we can see we've got some resistors here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's start with R35, which says it's 27 ohms. So unplugging the tubes before you do this, removing all the tubes, is great. Because to test a resistor, you need to have one free end. And if you remove this tube, this means that this pin is empty, and it's not putting any bias or change or causing a wrong reading. So you can clip your ohms meter on here and here, and get a true reading of that resistor. Now we can get a little bit more complex here. Now again, the tube is out, so let's look at this R7, which is 22,000 or 22K. So we've removed the tube and we have one end of the resistor free kind of, but it comes to a capacitor. But that's okay because the capacitor is not conductive. It's considered open and the ground is fine. So you can clip your lead on here and here and get an accurate measurement of that resistor. And same goes for, and this is the cathode resistor and this is the plate resistor. These are very critical in a restore. These are the ones that are most apt to drift. These are the ones that are most under load. So again, with the tube out, we have one end of the resistor is free and open, the other is attached. So we, as long as we've got one end of the resistor free and open, we can clip on and get an accurate measurement of that resistor. So let's have a look at the next one here now. R8. So 1/2 of R8 is open by a capacitor. It's held open by a capacitor. So you can clip on, let me make sure, yep, you can clip on to either side of R8 with that tube removed and get a reasonable measurement of accuracy. There are some resistors that have got so much in their path you can't. And you just plain old have to break down and desolder and lift up one end out of the circuit, meaning disconnect one end of it, and then you can measure it. So when you're working on resistors, always have the schematic present and always identify which resistor you're looking at so that you can see what's going on. And I mean, here's R70, 1 meg. And if I pull this tube, one end of this lead is free and the other end is blocked by a capacitor. So I know that I can accurately clip on either side of that resistor and measure it. So that should be a good starter for you. You should be able to look at every resistor in your schematic, look at where it's coming from and where it's going to, and see what's impacting it. Yeah, there are just some, like the bigger power resistors and whatnot, you just have to break down and lift one end of them and do some checking. Here's another one that once you pull the tube, you can, so the great majority of them in the set are easy to test. Once the tubes are out, Bob's your uncle and away you go and you can check them out. So let's practice what we preach and take it to the set and see where we go. Okay, here we are clipped onto our first resistor for test. It's part of the BFO. It is 22K. The manual says it has a 20% tolerance, but the resistor has a brown band which says it has a 1% tolerance. So let's just stay with that 1% tolerance and make sure that you have a good quality ohms meter, and you don't have to blow the bank on that. If you were a good boy and you bought 1% replacement resistors or have a stock of them, proving the accuracy of your meter becomes quite easy. Let me just get my lead back on here. There we go. Flip on to the other end. This is supposed to be 22. And even at 20%, it's well out of range. So that's just how easy that is we check the schematic. What is the resistor? What is the tolerance? Is there an end open? And in this one, it was just simply turning the BFO switch on the front face of the radio off so that I know that one end of that resistor is open. I've now checked it. I now know it's bad. I know now I'm into replacing it. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through the set resistor by resistor. It's tedious, it's time consuming, but it's not so bad. It's part of the fun. It's something that you enjoy, the discovery phase. And what's nice is that having the unit work even better, for taking care of all these little itty-bitty problems and bringing it back on spec. So I'm going to replace that resistor and carry on and do a few more, and I'll come back with a report. This might end up being a short video, which is probably a good thing. So I thought I would work myself up halfway and then do a report with y'all, and then work up the second way. And it started off pretty heavy. I replaced quite a few that were well out of range. And I thought, well, I'll just check a few more up here, and I didn't find anything. And a few more over here, and I found one. And that was it. On the top half, there's only the one that replaced, but on the bottom here, quite a few. So that pretty much completes its electrical restoration. Got the lights to do. I guess that's about it for electrical work. Anyway, so I guess next we're going to move on to step 5, is we're actually going to put some tubes in it and turn it on. And if it works, we'll do the 455 kilohertz alignment and start putting it back in its case. So we'll guess thanks for tuning in. And I think we're up to around 3,400 subscribers. If we get to 35, that would be great. 3,500. If you could hit the subscribe button, that would be great. Consider becoming a channel supporter. That would really help us out so that we can continue to bring you this kind of content. And until the next one, we'll see you again.